everyone. So I haven't really talked about depressing shit recently. When shit has gone down here, I've been dealing it with myself and not pulling out my camera, mainly because when I'm feeling shit, everyone's, you know, here. But since I'm here alone, might as well make a video. I want to talk about seeing self-harm in public, because I think this video idea just kind of came up to me because the other day, or yesterday actually, I was just walking around the corner. I saw this girl and she had colorful hair, she had pink colorful hair, and then she was wearing a really cute dress, and I just saw her because she was very eye-catching, and just her whole arm was covered in self-harm scars. And it was one of the first times I've ever really seen it like that. Like, I completely have no idea who this person is, and I notice it in public by just walking by. For those who know, I have a lot of scars on my ankles, and those are mainly the most dominant place where all my scars are, besides from, you know, my thighs. And when they were all freshly cut and, like, you know, beginning to scab, I was on the train in Taipei, and I was sitting, and this girl was staring at them. I noticed she was staring at them. And usually when people stare, I let them stare. I don't try to hide it, you know? Or I let them, I tell them that I know that they're staring, you know? I just kind of like, I'm like, yeah, you can look. I'm not ashamed of it. Like, I'm not gonna, you know, hide it and stuff. And she like tapped my thigh, and she was just like, are you okay? And I was just like starting to get teary-eyed, because I don't know, it just really like touched me, and I was just like, yeah, I'm okay. And she's like, you know, she obviously doesn't speak great English, and she's like, where did you get those? And I was just like, I'm okay. And she's like, okay. And then I like left. That was my stop, and it was just such a like heartwarming moment, because it was not, I'm asking you because I'm curious, it's I'm asking you because I want to help you. And that's what I like, you know. I obviously, people have come up to me and be like, what are those on your legs? And I'm like, don't ask a question that you already know the answer to. You already know what it is. You don't make me say it. It's pretty obvious. I'm sorry. There's a different way to ask people about it. Some people ask because they're curious, and I think that's wrong, and some people ask because they're concerned and they want to help, and I think that's okay. And, you know, obviously it's nice to ask. It's nice to tell them, like, I know this is what's happening with you, and I'm here for you. But you have to think about it in the right moment. You can't just, you know, you can't just be in a group of people. Because I had one of my close friends, I was in a group of people, we were all getting drunk and shit. I was sitting on his lap, and he was just like, what are those scars on your leg? And I looked at him, and then he just went quiet. Like, he knew. Because when he asked it was kind of like a joke, like, dude, what the fuck are those scars? And then he understood. And we were talking about it, because that was like 2 years ago, and we were talking about it, and he told me how, like, fucking guilty he felt, and that he felt so, like, it taught him in a way to kind of just, like, think before he speaks. And I was just like, that's nice, you know, it's a nice thing. So anyway, seeing, you know, self-harm in public, I think I ultimately have a soft spot for them, because I kind of feel like we're on the same boat. Or at least we were in the same boat. When it's with people that I know, and I see my friends with self-harm scars, to me that's kind of a different story, because it's like, bitch, I'm always here for you. Ho, I'm always here for you, you know, all the time. And it's kind of, sometimes, you know, I've had friends who get into self-harm, realize it's not really something they like or something they're really addicted to, and they get out of it, and they're proud that they're out of it. Some people continue because they feel like when they were younger and they were like, oh, I self-harm and stuff, and kind of bragged about it, then they feel like they still have to keep doing it just to prove themselves to someone. It's always going to be different. So that's why when I'm talking about this, I'm more about like people in public, like just people that I see in public. I was on Tinder, and a guy's profile picture was self-harm scars. My first thought was like, that's kind of weird. Why are you publicizing it? But then I said, why should I judge? Because I don't know, maybe that's this person's way to cry for help. That's kind of like all about the self-harm blogs and everything. That's in a way a cry for help. And this guy was just a bit more upfront about it. And I swiped right, and I messaged him, and I was like, are those self-harm scars in your profile picture? And he said, yeah, they are. I said to him, I was just like, oh, I just want you to know that, like, I'm here for you. Like, I don't know you. I'm new to Perth. If you're here, if you want to grab some coffee, if you need someone to talk to at 2:30 a.m., if you want to just sit at a park and just cry, I don't mind. And if you need anything, like, just tell me. And he was just like, wow, like, thank you so much for, like, being so understanding and for being so lovely. And I was just like, I don't know, I can't imagine ignoring that, you know. And I told him what I do on YouTube. and I looked through his artwork, and I was just like telling him that I like his artwork because I really did like his artwork, and he's like, you're making me feel so much better. And it wasn't even a guy, I think he's a homosexual anyways, but it wasn't even a guy I was trying to hit on or him trying to hit on me. It was more like, I'm fucking here for you. Like, yeah, the stranger across the street who has self-harm scars all over their arm, if you want to fucking talk to me, talk to me. You know what? Even if you don't have self-harm scars, talk to me. You know, it's like, I don't know. I feel like we need to reach out more, and that's just something that we haven't been doing, or at least maybe I haven't been doing. The first time I saw self-harm in public was when I was 14, and it was the first instance, and I've only had probably two. The one that I saw yesterday and my first experience. I was in a Vietnamese restaurant, and a guy in his like early 30s or late 20s had like self-harm all over his arm, all over it, like completely butchered his arm, and he served me, and I was staring at it. I was trying to like, you know, give him eye contact, but I couldn't help but look. And then I kind of understood, you know, sometimes I get mad when people stare at my self-harm. Sorry about that. Someone came in. Anyways, what was I talking about? I'm sorry if this is a little off place. Someone just came in, but I didn't say anything. And I looked over to my brother, and I was like, did you see his arm? And he was like, yeah, they're not self-harm cuts. And I was just like, okay. And I started crying, and my mom was like, what's wrong? And I didn't want to eat anything. I had like no appetite. Not because it was gross, but because I felt like I wasn't alone in the world. It was such a big, like, thinking about that was such a vulnerable moment for me, because I felt like there was someone else in the world going through it, and it wasn't someone who looks exactly like me, or like, you know, style-wise. It wasn't a girl who was, you know, 14. I think I was 14 or 13 at the time. It wasn't, you know, someone my age. It was someone in a completely different lifestyle, in a completely different boat, and they're doing and reacting to pain the same way as I do. And it hit me really hard, and I cried, and my mom was like, what's wrong? And I was just like, oh, I'm just on my period, PMSing and shit. But it really did hit me. It really, really did. Sometimes I feel like I'm not in the right, like, it's not your place to be concerned, or it's not your place to ask. But honestly, all you can do is fucking smile at someone. Like, who knows? You can be walking on the street, you smile at someone, and that might have been the reason for them to live. Maybe they were on their way to kill themselves, you know? It's like, yeah, that's a bit far-fetched, but it's like, literally, there is so much you can do to help by just doing a simple movement of the muscle, or by asking someone how's their day. When you're, you know, buying some clothes, ask them, hey, what's up? You know, yesterday I was at the bank, and she was just doing stuff. She looked like she was really pissed. I just said to her, she was an old lady, I said to her, I was like, do you like your job? And she said, yeah, I love my job. I've been working here for 23 years. And I said to her, oh, okay, I was just wondering, because I'm in the middle of figuring out what I want to do in my life, and I like to ask people what they like to do. And she was just like, oh, and then we were just talking about, and she was telling me about her children, and suddenly I went to see her, and she looked really down, but when I left from seeing her, she was super smiling. She was cheery, she was happy, and then she said to me, she's like, oh, when you come next week, don't even bother lining up, just come straight here. And I was just like, okay, thank you, you know? And it's like, that's all you have to do. Yeah, you know, my dad's from Finland, so they don't like small talk and stuff, but literally sometimes, you know, that friend that you haven't talked to in 6 months, just check in with them. Be like, hey, what's up? How's it going? You know that friend that's making, you know, statuses on Facebook talking about, I don't know, their anxiety or whatever is going on. You know, reach out to them. It's like, reach out to people, honestly. Like, when you see someone in a low place, be there for them. Like I said, in my suicide attempt, I only got support, or I got the most useful support after my attempt. What if I killed myself and I died? Where would I see all those messages? Where would I get that support? Sometimes we help when it's too late, and sometimes we forget that literally it's probably easier just to help before shit gets bad, honestly. But I hope everyone's having a lovely day. And I'm sorry I'm not doing the term quote of the day. Blair's just about to pick me up, and we're gonna go to Kings Park. And I was supposed to go to the Royal Show today, but I think I'm going tomorrow. Yeah.